Hello and welcome to the Jerry Hicks Show, exclusively on the Censored Freedom Network. Now, the man that thought MAGA extremism was a new part of the X Games, your host, Jerry Hicks.
Thank you so much, Dave, and thank you everybody for being here on this Monday, March the 10th, 2025. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you all along for the ride. We have a ton of news to jump into tonight, folks, from our DOGE report to DOGE news and the ultra-violent left. That's right, things are starting to get absolutely out of control. All that and so very much more coming up here in just a moment. But first, I'd like to give a quick shout out to everybody listening, no matter what platform you are on. As you know, we are broadcasting worldwide on Rumble, BitChute, YouTube, X. That's right, we are on a number of platforms, and we share little snippets of the show over on the Tickety, Talkety, Tavi, Talkie, Toey, whatever the hell that platform is over there. That garbage-ass censorship platform, we do share some small clips over there, trying to pull people away onto, you know, the ones that don't censor anymore. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, with that said, we're glad to have you all along for the ride. If you would, do make sure that you hit that follow, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share. All those little buttons help us out so very much. If you guys don't know, of course, we are a part of the Censored Freedom Network. That's that little gold square down there in the corner. Do make sure you check that out on the X platform is our main platform. We just did a show yesterday. If you like this show, you guys are going to love that one. Myself and CD Spivey get together every Sunday for an amazing hour of conversation. So, again, that's over on the X platform. Shout out to all of you guys across all the platforms listening. We're glad to have you all along for the ride. Speaking of the ride, folks, let's ride on over to our news rack and see what we have waiting on the side, starting out with our DOGE report, as always. The Program Support Center in the HHS, or Health and Human Services, processes $215 billion a year. That is $860 million every business day in grant payments. When those payments are made, if the grantee is directly drawing, no documentation, receipt, or explanation is required. So if you get a grant, you don't have to be documented. You don't have to get a receipt for it. You do nothing. You just get the money. There's no documentation behind it. If the agency is the approving agency, there's no justification or documentation required. So they don't have to account for grant money basically either way, or they didn't. Starting this week, grantees who are drawing money must include a brief justification of what the money will be used for. That's overdue. Agencies who are approving must include a brief justification of what the money will be used for and why they are approving it. So I think this is an amazing change. This is more transparency, more accountability for where our money is going. Would they lie on some of it? Absolutely. If they did, I'd be surprised. However, it is another step trying to fix what is completely broken. And there's an update to this story. Even all payments and soon the justifications will be posted publicly at dogegov.payment. So, ladies and gentlemen, I did not realize that they have absolutely changed their website over here. I've been showing you guys this doge.gov site, and it does have everything posted on the front. However, it now has different areas that you can go check out, like the estimated savings so far of $105 billion, ladies and gentlemen. Estimated savings per taxpayer, $652.17. So some will say, well, where's all this coming from? There's no evidence. I've been hearing that a lot lately. There's just claims. There's no evidence that's actually happening. Actually, ladies and gentlemen, in the eyes of justification, in the way of I'm saying justification. Transparency is the word I'm looking for. To justify everything being done, you can go by department and see all payments being given out. CMS, vets, HHS, you can go through each one of these and go on and on and on and see what money is going where and for what purpose. This is transparency. You can also see the spend of each department. You can see the workforce of each department. There's the executive branch. You can see regulations by agency. So and if you're into the computer side of stuff, you can join DOGE if you're good at what they are doing. I'm not going to put my name in the hat, that's for sure. Agency efficiency leaderboard down here. The most savings has come from the General Services Administration. The least savings has come from the State Department, interestingly enough. So there's so much information here. Wall of receipts, contracts, grants, real estate, all open to the public, all available 24/7, ladies and gentlemen. You can come over here, scour the site yourself, look at all of the data, all of the information. I think this is absolutely awesome. Once again, doge.gov. I don't get paid for this at all. That's what I'm going to start doing. Tonight's show brought to you by the DOGE Report, right? Brought to you by doge.gov. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, seriously, I think this is an amazing website on a personal level. I highly, highly encourage you to come over here and check out all of the work being done. You can also follow everything on the X platform where we tend to follow it, of course. But definitely check out doge.gov. Now, our last story was right there, wasn't it? Yes. So, back to our story here at HHS. The first 37,207 grant payments have now been posted over where we just looked. After a 6-week review, we are officially canceling 83% of the programs at USAID. Thank God for that, ladies and gentlemen. You can pull out your whistleblowers, you can pull out your confetti, throw it in the air, ladies and gentlemen. This is something to celebrate. That's right. After a 6-week review, 83% of the wasted USAID contracts are now canceled. The 5,200 contracts that are now canceled spent tens of billions of dollars in ways that did not serve, and in some cases even harmed the core national interest of the United States. You mean like giving millions to the Taliban every week? That definitely was not a helpful thing for this country, at least not in my opinion. In consultation with Congress, we intended for the remaining 18% of programs we are keeping, approximately 1,000 programs, to now be administered more effectively under the State Department. So the State Department will be taking over the USAID and hopefully, as of right now, handling as it should. Now, is this rife for corruption later down the road? Sure. I'm not even going to deny that. Absolutely. A Democrat comes in and they take the State Department and start slush funding the USAID again. I don't put it past them whatsoever. Lee Zeldin was telling us a little while back about the contracts he was canceling. 8 hours ago, he gave us an update. I am canceling over 400 DEI and environmental justice grants across 9 grant programs. These were totaling $1.7 billion, bringing the EPA's total savings to over $2 billion. This fourth round of EPA DOGE cuts was our biggest yet, he says. So that's excellent. Department of Government Efficiency replied back, great work. These cancellations are non-essential grants and includes $3.2 million to a consulting firm to, quote, develop a reporting system to collect data on Justice 40, the EJ scorecard, and the EJECR reporting tasks. So, what is that? Well, what does any of that mean? I actually have a bit of an answer for you. The EJ scorecard is the Environmental Justice Scorecard. I may or may not be wrong about this. Check me if I am. I wonder if that's the scorecard they were using against companies. The DEI type scorecard, remember, whether or not they're doing this and doing that and whether or not they're going to get money for such. That very well could be it. Either way, it's Environmental Justice Scorecard, which is, of course, a great big scam. Pilot program with 16 agencies to audit unused and unneeded credit cards. After 3 weeks, greater than 1,000 cards have been deactivated. Great progress this week. So there was a big argument about whether or not the president could deactivate a lot of these cards. And a court ruled that he's not allowed to deactivate a good number of them. So he said, okay, fine. We will reactivate them. Your yearly budgeted amount is exactly $1. Hey, he did what the court said. He not only reactivated them, he put money on them. He put a whole $1 on the cards. So, I mean, at least if they waste it, it won't be that big of a waste. Again, DOGE.gov. Highly, highly encourage you guys to come check that out. Marco Rubio declares USAID audit complete. Says the vast majority of foreign aid programs will now be axed, as we just covered just a moment ago. I told you I really like this guy, Doug Collins of the VA, ladies and gentlemen. He says they've cut $900 million after reviewing just 2% of unnecessary contracts. Let's hear what he has to say.
Hey everybody, it's Doug. I've always promised you I was going to shoot straight with you, and you're going to always hear it from me. Well, I got a bit longer message for you.
Okay, so that's the one from last week. We are not going to replay that again. Clearly, I didn't check that earlier. But I guess an update to that is after reviewing 2%, just 2% of the contracts, they've been able to save roughly $900 million. Folks, that's amazing. Every day is like Christmas anymore. I swear to goodness, it is absolutely awesome. HUD Secretary Scott Turner announces termination of affirmatively furthering fair housing rule. So what this did is it raised the price of government housing, or affordable housing, if you will, and lowered the amount available. This fueled an increase in the cost and decrease in supply of affordable housing due to restrictions on local land. Secretary Turner shared local and state governments understand the needs of their communities much better than bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. Terminating this rule restores trust in local communities and property owners while protecting America's suburbs and neighborhood integrity. By terminating this rule, localities will no longer be required to complete onerous paperwork and drain their budgets to comply with the extreme and restrictive demands made up by the federal government. This also returns decision on zoning, home building, transportation, and more to local leaders. So a lot of the power that had been usurped by the federal government during the last administration will now be given back to the states and back to the people as it should. Just like with the education department. They'll be going back to block grants and be shutting down the federal education department and sending it back to the states, where certain states, if they want to, can do vouchers for students. And that will only increase the availability of education in this country. It's going to force schools to actually have to try harder to get the students to want to go there. It's going to create a marketplace, if you will, for schools, right? If you're teaching really well and you got a good education system, your school is going to get more students, ergo more money from the state, not the federal government. Then a school that is absolutely doing the very least, that are pushing things in the classroom that don't need to be pushed. I'm looking at you, LGBTQ, AIZ, VXML, XVS, whatever. These are the schools that will fail, just like the free market of ideas, just like the free market economy. Best ideas win, worst ideas lose. Major German company Siemens announces massive $10 billion investment in the United States, boosting American manufacturing and jobs. Thanks to our amazing President Trump getting these companies to finally come back and open manufacturing and bring jobs and American-made back in full force. Siemens' acquisition of Michigan-based software company Altair Engineering marks the company's largest ever investment in industrial software and AI. Now, not gonna lie, that worries me a little bit. I do not like where we're headed with AI. Right now, no, it is not a big threat. But I do not think we're headed to a place where AI is going to be a big help either if we're not careful. It's going to take jobs. It's going to change a whole lot. This is going to be an entire revolution, just like the Industrial Revolution. That is one thing that unfortunately Klaus Schwab was right about. However, we are not going to allow it to become a subscription model world if we have anything to do with it. But this is definitely a huge win as the German company Siemens announces a massive $10 billion investment. So the AutoPin story, ladies and gentlemen, is something that I've been following on the fringes here to see how it develops. And what this is, every single signature given by Biden was a copy of a single signature, kind of like a copy-paste signature. We've seen Trump sign with his own hand. We've seen that every week or so at least, right? I was going to say every day, but that's not really true. So the AutoPin is basically taking the signature and copy-pasting it onto whatever's being signed. That means you don't necessarily have to be the one to sign it, which would be illegal if somebody was, I don't know, auto-pinning the signature of the president, which means the president would not actually be running the country. Whoever's proxying for him with their auto-pin would, right? So according to the Oversight Project, said we've gathered every document we could find with Biden's signature over the course of his presidency. All of them used the same AutoPin signature except for the announcement that the former president was dropping out of the race, which was a very different signature. So which one was the right one? And again, the question, who controlled the AutoPin? Whoever controlled that controlled the entire presidency. Is it possible that due to Biden's cognitive decline that unelected staff was able to push through radical policies without him even knowing? If this were to be the case, then every executive order, pardon, and other actions would automatically be constitutionally void and null. And then more evidence has come out, ladies and gentlemen. 6 criminals were pardoned with the Biden AutoPin, signed in the city of Washington. That don't sound weird, right? Except for this was the day that Joe was golfing in St. Croix. How can Joe be in Washington signing measures, even with the AutoPin, if he's in St. Croix? So the DOJ is being demanded to investigate whether President Biden's cognitive decline allowed... we just went through that. So could this be evidence, ladies and gentlemen, that somebody else was unquestionably running the White House at the time? We know it was. We know that without a doubt. But is this the smoking gun evidence we've been looking for? It's a good possibility. Ladies and gentlemen, Monday morning X platform users woke up to a surprise as the platform was being attacked by a cyber attack. And this is only going to get more prevalent as Elon continues to do amazing work with DOGE and with the federal government. He says that the attacks were caused by Ukrainian IP addresses. Now, this is interesting. He did say that it was most likely a country because of the amount of resources used in the attack. So he says the IPs come from Ukraine, which is not a surprise because if they're cutting off money to Ukraine, I could see that as a good motive for, not a good motive, but a possible motive for the attack. And it turns out a pro-Hamas group has claimed responsibility for the massive cyber attack. Now, does that mean they're not out of Ukraine? Absolutely not. They can absolutely be working out of Ukraine, even if they are a pro-Hamas group. Of course, this was a DDoS attack made to take the servers offline. A group called a pro-Palestinian hacking group called the Dark Storm Team reportedly took credit for the DDoS attack. Newsweek reported that the group was behind successful attacks on the United Arabs, Ministry of Defense, as well as Los Angeles Airport. So there's that story. Then we have this story. Multiple Democrat NGOs have coordinated attacks on Tesla dealerships, staff, and vehicles. Ladies and gentlemen, the left are terrorists. They are getting violent. They are trying to hurt their fellow Americans as if they give a crap about their fellow Americans. We've seen how much they think of their fellow Americans. They are outright trying to do anything they can to break, be violent, hurt people, whatever they can come up with. Last night, a number of Cybertrucks were torched in Seattle. Democrats are becoming increasingly more desperate and violent. There's no call for this. You didn't see Republicans out doing this craziness when Biden was president. And if another one of you dumbasses comes up and says J6 to me as if it was some kind of terrorist attack or some big this and that, the only ones that broke the law on J6 was the federal government themselves. That was a Fedsurrection. That was a complete setup to frame Trump supporters. You'll never convince me that Trump supporters were behind this. And here's why, ladies and gentlemen. Here's a very, very simple way to critically think about this. So the Republicans love their pew-pews. They won't give them up. They take them everywhere they go. Republicans won't live without their pew-pews. Also said by the left, J6 happened without a single pew-pew in sight. They didn't have pew-pews. They left them all at home. Can somebody please make that make sense? Those two sentences do not coincide with one another. You know who uses pew-pews and other things against their fellow humans most of the time? Has been the left. In all the school incidents recently, in all of the mass incidents we've had recently, it's been the left every single time. Specifically, it's been trans if you really want to get down to it. Look it up. Prove me wrong. I know I'm not. And they've gone on with their pew-pews to do something even worse. InfoWars reporter brutally taken away from this world in Austin. Alex Jones blames policies of Soros-backed district attorney. Jones wrote, "We are deeply saddened to inform you that InfoWars reporter Jamie White was brutally taken out around midnight." Of course, I've got to use that word. Unalived. There we go. Around midnight Sunday night, due in part to the policies of Soros Austin, Texas DA Jose Garza. We pledge that Jamie's tragic death will not be in vain, and those responsible for the senseless violence will be brought to justice. And they will be a leftist, make no mistake about that. I would put every penny that I have right now, which is about 3 of them, still, I would put them all on betting that it's a leftist. 100%. The left has gotten violent, ladies and gentlemen. I'm waiting about 3 or 4 more months. We may see another attempt at a summer of love, folks. These people are desperate. They're out of ways to do things. I'm hoping the funding has been cut off where they won't be able to pay people to do it, but they're able to pay people right now to protest DOGE. There was and I haven't got it available right now. I'd have to go find it. I'm not going to waste you guys' time on that. But there was a video from a guy that was protesting DOGE who admitted to the camera, yeah, I'm getting paid to do this. Absolutely getting paid to do this. Folks, it's fake outrage. 110%. The left has got to be stopped. They've become terrorists in this country. Insider claims AOC manipulated federal law to shield her illegal campaign hire. That's right. We talked about this yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. There was an illegal that was here in this country that was working as her director of communications of her campaign, folks. He had inside government information as an illegal alien. Luckily for him, he's decided to self-deport. However, AOC has done a lot of dirty and underhanded things to allow this to happen. Luckily, the acting Deputy Attorney General, Emily Bove, however her name is said, I really apologize. I don't know the correct pronunciation of that. Either way, she is going to investigate. Of course, we remember Ocasio-Cortez hosted a live webinar dubbed Know Your Rights in a way to convince illegals that they have rights in this country, for one, and tried to warn them against how to slow down ICE's workings. So definitely not a good thing, ladies and gentlemen. I seen a joke over on TikTok the other day, and I really thought it was funny. Girl sat down with a cup of ice and a Coke. She said, I like my Coke like I like my country, with lots of ice. So there you go. Take that as you will, folks. But Van Jones, folks, went over to CNN and give them a bit of his mind, if you will. Let them know why the Democrat Party is in such a position as it is in. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back to this page and see if we can't make this little video window here actually work correctly. And it looks like we are not going to be able to do that. Let's do one more refresh, see if it works. It is not going to work.
Look, man, we're screwed. I mean, we don't know. No, Democrats don't know what to do. This is a nightmare. Somebody like Donald Trump, we thought we'd at least have, Hakeem Jeffries in the speaker's chair to hold him back if we didn't have Kamala in there to do the right thing. Listen, the Democratic Party is going through a massive set of internal crises. You have a party that got trapped two ways. One, defending a broken status quo that nobody likes because they thought that Donald Trump was going to make it worse. But when you're defending the status quo, you're going to lose. And then offending most people in the country, calling everybody sexist and racist and transphobic and every other name, and then saying, please follow us. That's not a good strategy, folks. Defending a broken status quo and offending most of the country turns out is not as popular as my party thought it was going to be. And so it's
Who'd have thunk it?
going to take a while for people to get it figured out.
The Democratic Party's approval rating fell to 31%, according to a Quinnipiac poll taken at the start of Donald Trump's second term. Folks, there you go. That is tonight's news, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to leave you with just this one thought. Last week, we got the Epstein files, right? Or at least the flight logs, and they promised all this information was going to come forward, ladies and gentlemen, and I haven't heard a word since. So my question to those in charge, I'm glad to see what's going on. And also, a lot of you keep saying I want to see arrests. I want to see arrests too. But I don't just want to see one or two small fish arrested. I want to see them take the time to get all of the fish. Every last one of them. Let them think they're getting away with something. Let them sweat and worry about what is known on our side, right? What is known by law enforcement, I should say. Let them be scared out of their minds, because they're going to make so many more mistakes right now, and they're going to say so much more craziness. We see Maxine Waters is falling apart at this point. So, yes, I want to see arrests too, but I don't want to see arrests that aren't going to stick. I want to see arrests that have so much evidence behind them that there's not even the inkling of a shred, of a shadow, of a doubt that these people are guilty. Because thinking they are one thing, but they are American citizens, and they are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. And we need to make sure we have the most strong smoking gun evidence we can to get all of them, not just a few. Right now, we found a good bit of evidence, but we don't have the whole thing yet. Let's continue to go through DOGE. Let's continue to go through our entire government, get it all audited, find out what all we know, and then make the connections that need to be made. Because right now, we're probably still missing a good number of connections. So, as much as I hate to say it, as much as I would love to see them go out and just arrest every Democrat Congress member and everyone we believe has done something wrong, we have to have the evidence to back it up. I'm not saying this is the case. However, I will include the fact that you may have some people that are moles on the inside that have done things because they had to set other things up for the other side. I don't know. I don't know how any of this works. It just seems like something that would work for me. Does it sound like a movie? Life imitates art, ladies and gentlemen. But once again, my biggest question, where's the Diddy files? Where's the rest of the Epstein files? Where is the rest of the JFK, MLK, RFK files? I don't like that it got really quiet after one little bit of data was released. We need to keep on. We need to keep yelling. We need to keep demanding transparency and more declass from our government. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jerry Hicks. This has been the Jerry Hicks Show. And until tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, remember always, stay awake but dare to dream. Stand strong, Patriots. Good night, everybody.